information. We discovered that every time you learn something, you're making a lot of connections in your brain. 1 hour of focused concentration on one concept, one idea, doubles the number of connections in your brain if you're present with that information. There's physical evidence in your brain as a result of information in your environment. The brain is mapping information neurologically. If you don't repeat it, if you don't think about it, if you don't review it, those circuits prune apart within hours or days. So if learning is making synaptic connections, then remembering is maintaining and sustaining that information. And people have to think about it because it's so much easier to forget this information than to remember it. And they got to remind themselves and reproduce that same level of mind. So what we discovered is if you set up the conditions in the environment and you give people the proper instructions, if they can get their behaviors to match their intentions, they can get their actions equal to their thoughts, if they get their mind and body working together, they should have a new experience. And the experience then causes jungles of neurons to begin organized into more complex networks. That's what experience does. And we understood that the more the person can understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, the how gets easier, and they'll assign meaning to the act. And when they assign meaning to the act, they switch on the prefrontal cortex, the crowning achievement of the human being. And now the frontal lobe is all about business. It wants an outcome. And when that occurs and the person actually has the new experience, the end product of the experience is called a feeling or an emotion. The moment you feel unlimited, the moment you feel free, the moment you feel abundant, you are teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind is intellectually understood. So knowledge is for the mind and experience is for the body, and we're embodying the truth of the information. The information is no longer in the brain. The information is actually in the body now. And that information from that experience actually selects and instructs new genes. And the person's changing their genetic destiny. If you've done it once, it must mean you should be able to do it again. And doing it over and over again, neurochemically, neurologically and chemically, begins to condition the mind and body to begin to work as one. And when you've done it so many times that you no longer have to think about it, it's automatic, it's second nature, you've mastered that knowledge, you've become that knowledge. You're in a new state of being. It's innate in you. It's who you are. So to answer your question, we gotta go from philosopher to initiate to master, from knowledge to experience to wisdom, from mind to body to soul, from thinking to doing to being, to learning it with your head, applying it with your hands, knowing it by heart, to believe, to behave, to become. And I can sit up here with you and I can tell you that in 7 days, if people go all in and they immerse themselves in the content, when they emerge at the end of 7 days, their biology has changed so much that it looks like they're living in a whole different life, a whole different environment. And they're making pharmacies of chemicals that work better than any drug, that we've actually mapped them, we've discovered them. It doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter how young you are, doesn't matter how sick you are, doesn't matter how healthy you are, how rich, how poor, doesn't matter. None of that matters. And when you get collective groups of people together doing it all at once, we discovered that people change people. And the only way we're going to change this world is we've got to change us. People have to change. And when enough people change, I think that's the moment that who we are as a species of human beings begins to awaken. You know, the part of us that's kind and caring and loving and present and honorable and noble and empowered and giving and caring and healing. That's who human beings are when they're not living in stress and living in survival. Get a group of people doing that collectively, and I can tell you all kinds of crazy things not only go on in a person's biology, but in the energy of the room. And I want people to know that they're greater than they think, that they're more powerful than they know, that they're more unlimited than they could ever dream. And all I want to do is give people my greatest understanding of the truth, and then numerous opportunities to experience it. And sooner or later, they'll run into something really big. And they start believing in their future more than they've been believing in their past. And the side effect of that, then there's outcomes, miracles, that has changed my belief about possibility in the last 2 years. I'm not the same person because the people that are doing it look just like you. And they come from all over the world. And yeah, a lot of them had to go up against their own health conditions. And they stood on the stage at one point with stage 4 cancer, no evidence of stage 4 cancer. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, numerous times. That's the 4-minute mile. That's somebody breaking through a certain level of consciousness or unconsciousness. And let me tell you, no drug, no radiation, no surgery, no diet was changing their condition. And they realized that nothing changes in our life until we change. And when you change, your life should change. So I want to give people the tools to actually experiment with it to see if it's the truth. Life, your personality becomes pretty hardwired. If you keep thinking the same thoughts, if you keep making the same choices, you keep doing the same things, you keep creating the same experiences, you keep feeling the same emotions, I don't know, let's be conservative. You do that for 10 years. You would have to agree with me then that it would become more automatic, it would become more unconscious. So your personality creates your personal reality. That's it. That is it. And your personality is made of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. So keep thinking the same way, keep acting the same way, keep feeling the same way. Your personality is the same, and your personal reality will be the same as well. So if you wanted to change your life, if you wanted to change your personal reality, you would have to change your personality. And then you'd have to start thinking about what you've been thinking about and decide if you really want to believe that any longer. And when does the story end? It's that moment that you become so conscious of that thought, you're so tired of it, you're so aware of it that you would never let it slip by your awareness ever again. You catch yourself complaining and blaming and making excuses and feeling sorry for yourself, and that's been your unconscious program. Then the moment you become conscious of those unconscious behaviors, you're out of the program. You're only in the program when you're unconscious, and so it takes an enormous amount of energy and awareness to separate from those programs. And then there's those emotions that we feel every single day that are so familiar to us that we don't even know what they are. We just feel guilty. We don't even know it's guilt. It's just how we feel. And the stronger the emotions that we have to experiences in our life, the more altered we are inside of us. When the chemistry changes inside of us, the brain narrows the focus on the cause and takes a snapshot or a series of snapshots, and that's called a long-term memory. And so then it makes total sense then that the person, by every time they relive that event in their life, they're making the same chemistry in their brain and their body, and their body's literally believing it's living that experience over and over again. And now the body's so in the past that it's the mind of the past. So then the act of becoming so conscious that you don't go unconscious is a changing of consciousness. How many times do we have to forget until we stop forgetting and start remembering? That is the moment of change. And I looked up the word meditation. I looked it up. I wanted to know what that symbol meant, and it means to become familiar with, to become so conscious of your unconscious self, to know thyself so well that you don't default back to that old personality that's a set of hardwired thoughts and attitudes and beliefs, automatic habits and behaviors and emotional responses that are equally as automatic. And the hardest part about change is not making the same choices you did the day before. And the moment you decide to make a different choice, I got news for you. Get ready, it's gonna feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel unfamiliar. There's going to be some uncertainty. There's going to be some unpredictability. You're not complaining any longer. Your body's going to go, well, what have you been doing for the last 30 years? You're just going to stop today? We've manufactured all these chemicals so easily, and the body's going to start craving those emotions. And it's going to signal the brain to do what? Think the same thought. Why? So it could make the same choice, so it can do the same thing, so it could create the same experience, so it could feel the same emotion. The person says, this feels right to me. No. It feels familiar to you. So the 95% of the personality that is on automatic pilot, to know thyself, we discovered that you don't walk around pretending to forgive. That's not what it's about. Is you sit in the fire in the meditation and you keep working and selectively deciding what thought you do want to believe. And when it's the hardest, matters the most. If you were really, truly ambitious about your life, you would say before you got up in the morning, I'm going to remind myself of who I no longer want to be, how I'm not going to think, how I'm not going to act, how I'm not going to feel. I know it's going to be uncomfortable, but let me just, when I step in that river of change, that biological, that neurological, that chemical, that hormonal genetic death of the self, let me help myself here. What thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain? And with attention and with intention. If a belief is just a thought you keep thinking over and over in your brain, you can begin to install neurological hardware in your brain. Keep doing it, and the hardware becomes a software program, and the side effect of that is that's a new voice in your head. No magic there. If you said, how am I going to be with my ex? How am I going to be with my coworker? How am I going to be with my kids? What would greatness look like today? What would love do today? And if you closed your eyes and you rehearsed a scene, the act of mental rehearsal, just imagining something, the brain, when it's present, doesn't know the difference between what the person is imagining and the real